I had let her know that I did this interview and I was in this magazine and that, I'm like really doing real estate and I want to work with athletes. And I knew she knew like some of the owners of the store, I think Bobby Taylor and some other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, man, I'm just letting you know, if you know anybody, let me know. She called me while I'm in Miami. She's like, hey, we looking for a house to rent for a birthday party. It's some football players. I had to try to find a house that was big enough that they could rent in like 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
When she called me, this is the second day, morning. I'm like, yo, I gotta go. I gotta go back to Houston. They're like, what? I'm like, I just got a call with some football players that want to rent this house.
Wow.
I ain't never had no opportunity like this. I say I want to do this. I'm out.
Welcome to the Introspektiv Podcast, a series of insightful conversations where aspiring individuals reflect, engage, and share their journeys. For most of us, life is filled with hustling and bustling, with little to no time for stillness or to make sense of the winding roads that got us here. So tune in, because we're going to dig deep on what the pursuit of happiness really means and what often gets in the way of unlocking our greatness.
I'm really a country boy. I always been an outside person, and I just love being outdoors. And so us actually moving out here and doing the whole redevelopment of land per se has a lot to do why I got into real estate. So I literally watched the whole process. So this used to be looking like nothing but woods, and we came in here, did all the dozer work, basically did self-contracted the whole property and the whole build. And if you look right here, this is 12 acres. We dug this pond. This pond was used for the foundation for the house. So when it comes to the building process, I'm very familiar with it. It's just like building our house. And so I was a part of every single detail, which is why I'm so passionate about real estate. So when I see things happening or I see people building things a certain type of way, in my mind, I have a reference point, like to a T. So it wasn't me just getting my license like a lot of people do. Like I really, really am passionate about this because I love seeing things come from the ground up. And ever since I was 16, 17 years old, that's all I knew because that's what we did out here. This house is the house that we built. This house right here, it's a little over 5,000 square feet. We wanted that country style farmhouse look that when you can drive by, you can literally see a house that reminds you of your grandma's house back in the days in the country. So we just don't have the white picket fence. So that was the style. Got the red door, palm trees obviously lined up. I mean, it's a vibe out here is what we call it.
My name is Andre Khan Jr., and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Introspektiv Podcast presented by Southern Gents. Man, we have a true mogul here with us today in real estate as an investor, educator, broker. Man, he's closed over $50 million in real estate deals, working with A-list celebrities and all-pro athletes like 7-time NFL Pro Bowler Adrian Peterson, MLB All-Star and Golden Glove Award winner Michael Bourne, 2-time NFL Pro Bowler and the future Xavier Howard, the incomparable Masego, and last and certainly not least, October's very own 4-time Grammy Award winner Drizzy Drake. And that's literally just to name a few. His projects have ranged from 1,500 to 15,000 square feet, developing some of them on his very own. Man, we're going to talk with a guy today who, at a passive suggestion from his parents, decided that he wanted to abandon the carelessness and blissfulness of youth and really put in his 10,000 hours and become a true professional with structural aesthetics. And man, today we're going to talk about grit. We're going to talk about persistence. We're going to talk about what it takes to create a memorable experience, a life-changing experience as a real estate professional for your clients. So today we're going to talk with none other than Mr. Erwin Nicholas II, or you may know him as Mr. Real Estate. So like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy the show. Erwin Nicholas II.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
What's happening?
Welcome to the Introspektiv Podcast, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Man, I got really, really excited, man. We were thinking about, man, who could we bring on here, man, that can just talk to the masses. As you know, real estate has been like a thing right now, right? And who better to tell the story of real estate than the guy that's been doing it for like 20 years? Who's like, how old are you?
33.
33.
Yeah.
Okay. How long have you been in real estate?
Since I was 18. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let's not jump right into it.
Okay.
Man, just, some stats and figures. I know we're not going to talk about anything specific.
Okay.
But this guy has sold billions and billions and billions of dollars of real estate, probably more than me. And you know who I'm talking about? No, it is really impressive, man, what you've been able to do over the years, the people that you've inspired. I mean, me, bro. Mm-hmm. I remember when I wanted to go get my real estate license, right? I saw like all the things you were doing. I was like, man, that's what I want to do. So walk me through your story, man. Like, how did you get started in real estate? I mean, was this like a thing out of high school, something your dad did? Like, what's your story?
Yeah. So, again, appreciate y'all having me. I mean, I remember when you got in and, sometimes you don't necessarily know who you're inspiring. And I think that, through my journey, I always wanted to do something different. So when I was in high school, my mom was like, you should get your real estate license.
Oh, wow.
And she said it, and I was kind of like rebellious because I was so ready to leave the house. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I don't know anybody doing it, especially young and black. And then I was playing basketball in high school.
Basketball? What position?
Yeah. Shooting guard.
Okay.
Shooting guard. Sometimes point.
You still know what you're doing?
Yeah, man. Right. You can get it anytime, bro.
We'll see about that.
Okay, let's get it. But I wanted to do something where I could still work with athletes and people that I aspire to be around, but be in my own lane. And I didn't see any young people doing it. I didn't see any young black people doing it. I didn't see young people doing it my age. So I had got a scholarship to TSU. And for pharmacy.
TS, okay.
Yeah.
Biology, right? You were a biology major?
I switched it.
Okay.
I was pre-pharmacy at first, but I ended up getting a optometry biology degree.
So that's thing number one.
Okay.
Because let me tell you what your reputation is, bro.
What is my reputation?
Real estate. Your reputation is this is the real estate guy. Yeah. This is literally Mr. Real Estate, right? President of MRE, right? So Mr. Real Estate Group. Well, none of us even knew that I knew because, obviously my wife went to Texas Southern, but I'm saying like a lot of people don't even know that you went to school, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Now that I think about it, people do ask me like, I didn't even know you went to school. Like, that's the thing of the past. But I mean, for me, education's always been important. I've always been a scholar, just kind of a nerd, low key, high key, whatever you want to see. But I mean, for me, when I knew that I wasn't interested in pharmacy, which was like my end of my freshman year, I was a pharmacy tech.
Okay.
And my mom,
like Walgreens, CVS?
Okay. And I was filling prescriptions and I just like, I can't be doing this the rest of my life. Or, most of my life, I just wasn't into it. You know what I mean? Gotcha. I'm a social person, always been a social person. And I just knew pharmacy wasn't going to be for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Full scholarship and all. I was just like, I mean, I can change my major now and just keep my credits and still graduate on time.
That's good. Okay.
and still get my scholarship. I mean, still get my degree. And it's better to make these mistakes and learn, early as opposed to trying to do this later and regretting I didn't do it earlier. So
gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's powerful. And we kind of talked about that last time. Some of the things that we've learned along the way. Yeah. And unfortunately, failure is one hell of a teacher.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything that happened throughout the course of you being a pharmacy tech, or is there anything that happened that switched your focus to real estate?
We were building a house.
Oh, okay.
We were building a house
like
in the
your
country.
Family, or?
Yeah, my parents, they were building a house. And that's kind of where it all kind of came together for me when she told me I should get my real estate license. So we were building a 5,000 square foot house.
Oh, wow.
on 12 acres.
Oh, wow.
In Hempstead, Texas.
Okay.
And, I literally watched the whole process of development from clearing the land to self-contracting the whole deal. My parents were literally hiring all contractors.
That's insane.
So seeing that process, understanding it, and, seeing the freedom that came with that, you know what I mean? And manifesting something, a tangible asset So being able to see it from ground up is something that kind of inspired me. And I said, well, what if I could eventually do this, in the future? And so being a real estate agent was the way to do it,
So your parents weren't in real estate?
No.
They were just savvy enough to figure the whole process out?
Yeah, my mom was very hands-on. She had a big nonprofit called Challenge 2000. And so she liked to be very hands-on with the people.
Nice.
And that's something that she's always been able to do. That's where I feel like I get a lot of my social skills from.
Nice.
And then my dad he's complete opposite. He's just engineer, quiet, chill, very observant, and don't really say much. He'd be like, he's one of those guys that like he says something and then you got to think about it when he walk off. He'd be like,
one of those guys. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know what you're talking about. Are you familiar with the DISC assessment?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so DISC, D-I-S-C, right? With a D being a driver, right? Very, very assertive. An I being an influencer, like loud out in front. S being someone who's more safe and reserved. And a C, someone who's very calculated, very granular, detail-oriented.
Right.
On that scale, where would you say that you fall?
You mentioned something about, I forgot which letter it was.
Was it the I?
Yeah, I think it was the I.
Okay, outgoing, engaging?
No, that's not it.
Okay.
Kind of like
reserved?
Reserved.
Okay,
yeah,
so that's the S,
that's
right?
me.
Okay, that's
I'd like to say I am. People would probably tell you, no. I'm like an introvert at times.
Gotcha. Okay.
So.
And that has its perks because as a real estate professional, man, like the thing that S's have are they're very in tune with the emotions and potentially very in tune with the emotions of their client.
Absolutely.
Right? That's a thing?
That's it.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's it.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So we know you have the relational side and it kind of seems like you've always had that, right? Playing basketball, you're on a sport, you know how people sort of interact. Tell me about your time like in corporate, like so iTechs, Trendsetters. Did that teach you like the technical things that you needed to become Mr. Real Estate?
Yeah, so I think, you learn something from every experience. iTechs Group is a tax credit development company out of Beaumont in Port Arthur. And so I always wanted to be a developer as the end goal. So
billions and billions, what I tell you.
Yeah, they're doing it big, man. If you look them up right now, they've literally mastered the tax credit development game, syndication. Yeah. I think at the time they were acquiring like 5,000 units of multifamily property.
And so tell me about kind of your experience with Trendsetter. Was that like luxury homes or is that like mid-level?
Trendsetter Realty was the first real estate company I joined when I got my license.
Nice.
My plan from the jump was to be my own broker. So at the time, it was only a 2-year requirement to be a broker. I think now it's 4.
I was going to say, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Okay.
So they had no, they took like a desk fee so you can keep most of your money. But they had over 500 agents.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So talking to the broker was like, I mean, you pretty much learned everything hands-on. And you would just major stuff you would call and hopefully get through.
Okay.
But it really taught me a lot about.
What did it teach you?
Shit. Learning on your own. I was very hands-on and trying to speed up that process to where I could learn everything and become a broker as fast as possible because I always wanted to have my own shop. So, So that was the goal. So tell me, I know you mentioned that you saw the freedom, right, that it offered growing up. Yeah.
Was there any other motivation that said, I want to be my own broker? Like, did you mentally go back to the days where you were filling prescriptions and you're like,
Absolutely.
Like what else drove you to want to just really have your independence?
Man, I used to watch a show called The Big Idea on CNBC.
Okay.
It was a marketing guru named Donnie Deutsch. And this is kind of the nerd part of what I was talking about. Where I used to watch this strategically. And they would have like all your icons on this show, Jay-Z, Diddy, 50 Cent. And, I was relating with hip hop artists at the time.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So I would see their story in the entertainment industry and be like, well, I could just do this with real estate. That was my thought. It's like, it should be no different except the industry, right? If I can take the same hustle and apply it here, I don't see why it would be a problem. And so I just didn't have no example of anybody doing that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I didn't have a mentor of somebody showing me like, hey, this is how you can get to where you want to do. I was watching this show and I was listening to interviews, basically, give me key ideas on how to, apply this same hustle. So that is really what I think helped me, kind of figure it out. I would literally watch these shows they come on, I think, every Wednesday at the time, and I'm not missing an episode. And one thing he did really well, which I think you're really good at too, is specifically asking them what happened in this situation. He cut them off, like, hey,
I was about to cut you off.
Yeah, like, what do you mean by that? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, what? Okay, you were in the lady Lori, I think, that invented Spanx. Like, how did you get your shot? And I'll never forget, she said something about, like, I literally went into the bathroom, changed clothes, showed him how it worked, because that was my only opportunity. I was going to meet the guy that I was going to be investing into my business.
She undressed and showed?
Yeah, the process.
That's commitment.
Something like that, yeah. But she took her moment, and that's what I got from that. Like, you never know when you're going to meet somebody or whatever, but you can't be scared to seize that moment. And I feel like real estate was that moment for me to transition from what pharmacy was while I was in school. I was like, I just got to do this. And so that's how I looked at it.
And shout out to the pharmacy students, man.
Yeah, shout out to
the
y'all,
pharmacists.
man. They doing real estate too now, so I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. We all, like Boosie said, we all got some ratchet in us, man. If you want to be wealthy, we all got some real estate investors.
Yes,
eventually,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So, two things I want to point out, man, and this is probably something I should wrap this up with much later on down the line, is that show, The Big Idea, Donnie Deutsch. That's what you said his name was?
Yeah.
Dang, bro. What's wild is you've become the show. Whether you know it or not, there are people who are looking at you and they're saying, man, he's doing it and he's doing it bigly. You know what I mean? I know that I would see you from time to time. I see you out somewhere. Hey, what's up, boy? Hey, you good?
Yeah.
And then you disappear for 6 months. Let's see you again. Hey, what's up, boy? Then you disappear. Then I see you on the sideline, somewhere, or courtside, or on a beach somewhere, or some big project, right? So what I'm telling you is that to the people who know you, man, to the people who see you, that's a show, right? And what I know for a fact is that social media, a short conversation, nothing really tells the whole story. Right. And you just mentioned that there was a time that in the show, the lady who invented the Spanx, she seized her opportunity, her moment. That was her big break. For you, what was that?
Oh, man.
What was that? Was it a deal? Was it a meeting?
Great question. Great
how
question.
did you even get to that point?
Man, I think the first big moment that I gotta say is that I was on a trip, like a class trip.
Okay. This was in college?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is like my it's like my sophomore, junior year. Some friends of mine, they were upperclassmen. They were about to graduate, going with their careers. And we took a trip to Miami.
Oh.
And Miami was like we had been planning this all month, like all year.
Yeah.
Like it was like, yo, we gonna do this, and this. And it was a 5-day trip.
What year was this?
Had to be 07, 08.
Okay. So we had LeBron down there, the trio.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you, to be honest with you. But I was there 2 days. I did so much marketing, letting people know what I do. I got a phone call from a chick I know named Nisha. She used to work at In Zone Fashions. You remember that? On Scott Street.
Yeah. Man, shout out In Zone Fashion.
Yeah. And so I had let her know that I did this interview and I was in this magazine and that, I'm like really doing real estate and I want to work with athletes. And I knew she knew like some of the owners of the store, I think Bobby Taylor and some other people. And I said, man, I'm just letting you know, if you know anybody, let me know. She called me while I'm in Miami. She's like, hey, we looking for a house to rent for a birthday party. It's some football players.
This is before Airbnb?
This is way before, this is like this is like way before that was even an idea, I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
Maybe not, but yeah, she called me, man, and when she called me, this is the second day, morning. I'm like, yo, I gotta go back to Houston. They're like, what? I'm like, I just got a call with some football players that want to rent this house.
Wow.
I ain't never had no opportunity like this. I say I want to do this. I'm out.
Wow.
We was on standby too.
Oh no.
We was on standby.
Was this on a Sunday?
No, it wasn't. It was on a Tuesday. So,
okay.
So it was on a Tuesday, and I think, Phil.
Yeah, I know Phil.
Just Feels Right. Shout out to Just Feels Right.
Shout out.
Phil was with me on that trip. And Phil knows this story as well. And I was like, yo, I'm out. I got to go. And so I had to try to find a house that was big enough that they could rent in like 24 hours.
Oh, wow. That they could rent for just one day, for like a party?
Yeah, for a night, for a party.
Okay.
So ironically, just to tell you how things work out, called a friend of mine. He knew the owner of Warren Moon's old house in Lake Olympia. And I was like, that's perfect. See if he'll rent it out that Friday. I was like, we need a house so this Tuesday, by Wednesday, we need to have the house secured so we know where we're going for the party on Friday. So I'm like, all right. And so, just having faith that something was going to work out, I called and they was like, yeah, we'll do it for this amount. I forgot the amount.
Was it a reasonable amount?
Reasonable for last minute for, I think the house is 7,000 square feet on 2 acres. I was like, yeah, I think they'll do it. So I told them the price. They ended up having it. I took pictures with the guys.
Oh, wow.
Like, this is my
let's go.
Yeah, this is my moment, and I'm glad I left. But that was my big thing that I could use to kind of show credibility that I'm really doing this for real, and it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm willing to do this to get there. Right? I'm leaving my trip that we had planned all year to come seize this opportunity. You know what I mean?
Time out, bro. 07, you're what, 21?
Well, no, I'm 20.
You're 20 years old, man.
20.
Okay, so
got to school 17.
That's a great story, bro. That's a great story. And when I tell you what I hear when you say that are all these prerequisites, right? Because you had to have the unmitigated gall. You have to have the balls to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, right? To risk them saying no and them saying no and them telling you, I don't got time, right? In marketing, you're going to have to do that a lot. But the other thing I got from that was you saw an opportunity, you saw a task, and you executed.
Right.
What taught you that structure? Were you born with it? Did anyone, did your parents like keep you regimented growing up? Like, what taught you that?
I give a lot of credit to this show because it's the big idea, because the way that they broke it down, how they got their opportunities, was something that always resonated with me, because these things don't just fall in your lap until you're ready. You know what I mean? I think for me, it was literally like listening and taking notes like, okay, what did he say he did in that moment? And I just had the wherewithal, thank God, to know like, hey, this is the type of stuff you need to be doing when you have your moment. It's kind of like being prepared for something before it happens. It's like, when you see it, this is what you do. And you do whatever it takes legally.
Legally, you better, comma, legally, okay.
Yeah, to make it happen. And leaving Miami, sacrificing fun to seize an opportunity that I may never get again.
That's wild.
Is something I felt like I needed to do.
So, and you mentioned sacrifice. And what's wild is there's a lot of people who would have heard that, right? And not recognize the opportunity that it was, right? Yeah. You very specifically told this person, hey, this is what I do. Hit me up if you come across an opportunity. And there was one. Yeah. And some people may say, man, I'm in Miami this week. Yeah. I'll be back the next day. Or I'm not scheduled to be back until, you said you left on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
I'll be back Friday.
No.
Right? And I'm assuming the event was on a Friday.
Yeah, it was a Friday.
It was on Friday, right? So, man, that was really huge that you executed there. You mentioned the word sacrifice, right? So everything that you've enjoyed, all the success, man, right? All of this, you weren't Creed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I know. I know. All right. But anyway, all the success, man, you smell great. It's not going to come without sacrifice. So
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that you've kind of had to choose between along like your journey?
I'll give a really good example. Taking real estate classes my freshman year.
In college,
online, at TSU, when everybody's on the yard.
My wife went to TSU, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to
hey, baby,
everybody at TSU, class
Okay.
09. But yeah, it I was like, man, if I don't do this now, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like just
Bro, that's some serious dedication. It's hard enough. You said as a freshman?
Yeah.
As a freshman, you know how hard it is to just go to class?
I didn't know.
what I mean?
To be honest with you, like
Were you that hyper-focused?
Man, people that know me my freshman year would tell you that like I had my book bag and I was going to class and I kind of dressed clean and that was it.
Oh, you kind of dressed clean.
Yeah, I kind of dressed clean. Like
just gonna throw that in there? Okay.
And I was quiet and nerdy. Like that's just what you knew about me. I was in the honors program. That's what people have told me. When they look back and tell me later, like, man, he really wasn't vocal like he is now. I wasn't. I come from a background of just, I was on the team, played sports. That was the balancing thing for me that kind of took me out of being shy. You know what I mean? So,
that's beautiful, man. I'll this is going to be heavily aired on YouTube. And YouTube has 80% or so of the people who consume the content are young men. So young men, if you're listening, the nerds really run the world nowadays.
They do. They really
the
do.
nerds really run the world nowadays, man. All right. So we talked about sacrifice, right? It sounds like you sacrificed some fun, some partying.
Yeah.
And to the untrained eye, real estate is so sexy and so flashy and so gaudy, right? Like, but if you're actually in real estate, that's a part of the marketing. So give me some insight, like behind the scenes. What does it really look like to the people? Like they see the mansions, they see the cars, they see the trips.
Right.
Give me some of the grind, some of the things that people don't see that, they don't see it. So they can't appreciate it.
I think understanding like psychology and how people work, that's something I always pay attention to just on a daily basis. Like what makes somebody feel comfortable with you even being around them? You know what I mean? Like, in order to even get a sale, like, you got to understand who you're dealing with, right?
Unpack that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think the psychology of understanding, like, the type of clients that I wanted, high net worth individuals, that was the dream, right? But understanding how they operate and, where they're at and, how social you have to be, what's required of me, what type of time. Are you gonna? I remember I was showing houses to anybody that wanted to see one without a pre-approval letter.
Wow.
So,
okay.
So I was so hungry to get to that level that I would, like I said, do anything legally that I could do on my end.
Did you do that knowing they could potentially not be able to proceed because they don't?
No,
have a
because in
letter?
my head, they was gonna say yes at some point.
Okay. And they were gonna go get qualified too at some point.
Yeah, I just thought like, okay, they ain't never heard no real estate guy, young, black, come up to him in the club and be like, man, hit me.
Oh, okay,
like,
yeah.
I got you. So I felt like I was unique in that way at that time. I really did. I was like, man, he gonna call me.
Yeah.
Hindsight, like I'm behind 20 girls and he's at the bar. And by the time I get to him, he ain't, oh man, appreciate it. I'm looking at the seriousness in his face. I'm like, oh yeah, he gonna hit me tomorrow.
And then
it's like nothing.
Okay.
Right? You don't get no call.
And see what you just said, bro, is what scares people right? People hate rejection. I don't like rejection. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
Like even the things that I do now, any approach professionally or whatever is very calculated. And so you put yourself out there and you made yourself, so tell me about the nastiest rejection you got. One where you maybe showed up and they just ghosted you. Was there anything like that? Something big? You don't got to use names.
I think I've been ghosted, but like, I'm one of those people like, even if you ghosted me, I didn't really think about it.
Okay.
In my mind, I like thought it was like, okay, not right now.
Okay. And then you hit him up like a week later, like nothing happened. Hey, so I know you didn't show up last week, but what we want to do is set next steps.
Nah, if I see the same person over again and told me that, we could chop it up, I'm just reminding you, I'm going to definitely take that moment to remind you who I am and say, hey, hey, I'm the real estate guy you talked to last week. But,
right. Okay, I got you.
There comes a point in time where I had to figure out how am I managing my time and what is the cutoff for, a client? Like if they're not a potential client, if they're not really interested, their actions should speak louder than words. These are all things I had to learn along the way. I would drive all over town sometimes, like I said, without a pre-approval letter and not knowing if the client was serious or not. In hindsight, that's a skill that I had to learn to understand. I'm not about to be driving all over town if you ain't got no pre-approval letter and ready to go. Like, I'm just not.
Okay. So for those of you who are listening who don't know what a pre-approval letter is, and that's okay. No, bro, when I tell you, my neck started itching when you started saying that you were driving around without a pre-approval letter because I had to learn the same way.
Yeah.
And a pre-approval letter is basically your permission slip from the bank that says that you are approved for X amount of dollars before you start to go looking at properties, right? So say you go look at all of these $500,000 properties, but you really only qualify for $250,000.
There you go.
So you have no business looking at a $500,000 property. And it's so funny when your clients, they'll say, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody likes this.
Everybody likes it.
It's $1 million home. Everybody's going to like it. Right. So that's good, man. And so what I heard out of everything that you just said is there's grit, right? There's grit that takes grit to really put yourself out there, to really put yourself in a place where I'm okay with being rejected and I'm going to use that as some sort of motivation or a way to follow up.
Yeah, what I used all the time, I think at the time, and still do, is that no means not right now. That's literally what it means to me for everything. Like everything. And I mean, even my parents, I think at a young age, that's one thing that I did have, that no matter what I told them I wanted, like it was always a no first. And then I worked my angle or negotiated some type of deal without realizing, I guess at this point, we talk about it now, but like I remember I wanted this BMX bike. All my friends had BMX bikes and I didn't. And the bike was like $500 or something like that.
Sheesh. Had the pegs on the front.
Everything. It was a hard, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, here we go.
Exactly. So, I literally cut out that same, my mom will contest this. I literally cut out every newspaper clipping of that bike. And I used to post it around the house. Like, you gonna see
vision
this.
board back in the day.
Yeah, like, I mean, not knowingly though. This is just stuff I used to do. Like, y'all see this? Even when I wanted a dirt bike, and I used to, can we just go to the dealership? Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, I thought they were just gonna buy it at some point. We've been to the dealership thousands of times before I even got one. But manifestation and just having faith that something would happen was how I just used to think of stuff. Not knowingly though, like just unknowingly, like at some point, y'all say have faith, right? Because my parents are spiritual and raised in Baptist. And, when you talk about having faith, to me, you just can't tell me to have faith in certain situations, right?
You gotta have faith for the dirt bike.
Yeah, everything.
You gotta have faith for the career.
Everything.
You gotta have faith for the relationship. Everything. You gotta have faith. Okay.
So it didn't make sense for me why it didn't work in other situations. You know what I mean? And I think, even before the experiences, that was ingrained in me early. Like, pray for what you want. You know what I mean? You hear all these things growing up, and I think I think a lot of people do too. You know, their parents are teaching them, do this. Well, I was always curious, like, well, why it don't apply over here?
So, we know faith without works is dead, right?
There you go.
Was there ever a point where you just went and bought your own stuff? Did you make some money and just went and bought your own stuff?
I didn't. You know, this goes to the negotiation thing. So, like,
you were negotiating popsicles. That's crazy, bro. You were.
I was negotiating
at the crib.
I didn't know. I said, if I made straight A's, will y'all do this? I guess they doubted me, and I think that is kind of what always drove me to accomplishing my goals. Is like, all right, you telling me no right now, but I'm gonna do this eventually. I looked at people like that too. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm gonna meet this person. Meet this girl.
Ooh, okay. Okay. And I like that. And you know what, man? What that tells me is that you're up for the challenge. And that's just another form of grit. You know what I mean? Like negotiating back and forth. It's push and pull, right? Are you looking for a win-win-win solution most of the time? Yeah,
especially now. I think that evolves over time is that, you know, it's not just about what you want. It's definitely about making sure, you know, that's probably more of what my business is based on now with my relationships is, you know, if my client's not happy, I'm not really, we didn't really do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you sell somebody a house, but did you get them a good deal?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like that's, what are we talking about? You know, they, at this point in time, like they could do it themselves if they really wanted to. And we all know that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying
hey, come on, man. What are you doing?
I mean.
I know.
But it's the truth.
Yeah. My brother, Bobby, he actually negotiated his own deal and, you know, he moved in and it can be done.
Yeah. But, you know, I think in our industry and our business is that people need to be able to see the difference.
Yeah, right. There has to be a very distinct difference between having the representation and not.
Andre got me this. You know, when in this market, everybody's paying over price, but he got me equity.
So we're going to talk about that too.
Oh, my bad.
We're going to talk about that too. But man, okay. I know for a fact people come to you for game, right? And people come to you for advice, right? And you're a fiduciary, you know what I mean? The people who you give consultation to and advice to, they have to pay you. Well, they don't directly pay you, and broker, you know? But tell me about how it is managing that, man. Like saying, hey, man, put me on. Hey, man, show me the way. Hey, man, do this, do that. What's your way of doing that?
Man, it usually comes from agents that want to work with me and think that, you know, obviously just being around me, these deals just happen. You know what I mean? I think that's literally the perspective because apparently, I think if I had to put myself in their shoes, apparently something he's just doing in his office is they just coming. You know what I mean? And he's going to maybe lend them to me. Or give them to me, or just maybe that's how it happens in other offices. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. But, you know, what I do tell people or young agents or other people who want to get in the business is that, you know, a lot of times, like on Instagram, people say, man, I want to get into real estate. My question to you is, what have you done? What type of research have you done to even get to this point? You know what I mean? You say you want to get into it, but what did you do? Did you do any research? You should know what classes or where to take your classes before you come to somebody just saying, hey, I want to get into real estate, or, you know, I want to come work with you and see how things are doing. You know, give them a little information about what it is that you've seen them do, right? And ask more specific questions, because it's not that we don't, I'm speaking for other people too. It's not that we don't want to give the information, but make it worth our time. You know what I mean?
Okay,
if I got to literally walk your hand through every single detail, that means nobody told me anything. So that's the other perspective that I also have, is that when I'm serious about something, you have to, you know, literally put your all into it. You know what I mean?
True. That's
come to the table with something. You know what I mean? So,
and I'll say, man, nuggets are being dropped right now. People, young women, young men, listen. You have to do something for yourself before anyone else is willing to do anything for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what Mr. Real Estate has told us, he put himself out there.
Yeah.
He put himself out there. He allowed himself to be told no. He allowed doors to be slammed in his face. He allowed himself to be disrespected, quite frankly. And that's all a part of earning your stripes, right? You have to do something for yourself before anyone else is willing to do anything for you. And you talked about making it worth their time. How can someone who is looking for a mentor, who's looking for an opportunity, who's looking for some guidance, how can they make it like worth your time? Like, and for you specifically, and then think maybe a mentor, someone that helped you along the way. How did you make it worth their time?
Let me put myself in maybe their shoes when I first started, is that it wasn't a specific person in real estate. It was somebody I seen in a different industry. One of them was a sports agent. I knew he had the clients and how I could add value. But, you know, I'm showing him, look, I know these people. I've worked with these people. You know, if you have any clients that I could be assistants of, this is what I have to offer, right? Of value. You know, I'm adding value to what you already do.
Did he push back on you?
Oh, he didn't call me for like 6 years. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Wait. 6 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It just, you know, I think it was a beautiful thing though, because again, I put in my 10,000 hours in between the time.
Well, what's that? What's 10,000 hours?
10,000 hours, you know, it's just,
what's that?
It feel like 10 minutes, but it's something light. It's just something you gotta do.
Sheesh. Okay, no, we're not gonna speed past that. So I don't know what study it is. I don't know the science. I don't know where it even came from, but there is a saying, there is a school of thought that it takes 10,000 hours of repetitive, intentional focus, right, to become an expert at anything, right? And you just said your 10,000 hours for like 10 minutes. I mean, does that speak to your passion? I mean, like, why does it feel that you were able to?
It doesn't. I was being sarcastic.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, bro. I was confused.
No.
Okay.
You know, I think it just, you know, hustling is kind of what you can compare this to. It's either got to be, it's not on you, it's in you. You know what I mean? It's something that there's a skill set that I just honed. Like, no is not something, or not being successful in what I'm pursuing is not an option for me, no matter how long it takes. And I think the time frame of what school gave me, you know, being in college for 4 years, if this don't work, it gotta work. You know what I mean? I have 4 years to make this work. I done stopped pharmacy my sophomore year.
Wow.
Like, it gave me some type of framework in which I could accomplish the goal. Meanwhile, 2008 is the crash. So nobody's buying real estate at this point in time.
Oh, how did you survive that?
I think for me, I actually was a part-time teacher.
Okay.
Right out of college. I worked there for like 4 months. I was a substitute, and then I worked in A-Leaf. I got hired the first day. I understand
Southwest
why now.
Virginia.
Yeah, shout out to Southwest. Got hired the first day.
Shout out to the SWAT.
I got hired the first day.
Sheesh.
A week before school started. I definitely understand why, but
shout out to the teachers too. We love y'all so much, man. Thank you for everything
they
that you do.
They don't get paid enough.
They don't.
I taught 7th grade science.
Oh, wow.
With my wonderful biology degree.
Oh, wow. Man, that's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Nobody told me the age groups matter. The grade levels matter, you know. So
you better get you some kids, man.
Yeah,
you better get you some kids to teach.
Yeah, man.
But man, so you strike me as a minimalist, right? I told you what's great about this is I know you, but like really getting to know you.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? I mean, because, you're Virgo, right?
Yeah.
And Virgos are typically perfectionists,
Yeah.
They're cerebral. You're going to calculate everything. Are you that analytical in your life? Does that spill over from real estate into your life, or?
No, I think that's me first. And that kind of real estate gets some of that love. You know what I mean?
And it spills over into real estate? In what type of ways? Like, how does that?
I think I'm very calculated. I think a lot about how I'm affecting people, how I want my business to look, what the longevity is of what I want to do, what my life looks like, what you do today, determines what your future looks like. Everybody knows that, right?
Man, such a simple concept, but so
I don't really have time to be not on schedule with things. That's how I look at my life. You know what I mean? If I'm going to start my real estate career trying to be the youngest broker in Texas at 21, obviously I need to be doing certain things to fulfill that. You know what I mean? If I'm going to be Mr. Real Estate, which let me tell you how that name came about. I didn't come up with it.
Oh, okay. Is your line name?
I didn't come up with it. A potential client forgot my name.
Oh, wow.
And he said it. And I was like, again, the big idea. When they talked about branding.
Wow. What better brand? Mr. Real Estate.
Yeah. They was like, they need to know what you do. I'll never forget it. He said that. He said, they need to know what you do. And if you're new to an industry, how people gonna know you from anybody else? Why is Martha Turner so powerful? Why is Keller Williams so powerful? Why are these brands so powerful? Because they've been around a long time. But if I'm coming into the game, how are you gonna know who I am?
Wow. And then so we try to pretend like this thing doesn't exist, but it's a real thing to be Black, right? And in real estate,
right?
And if you want to have a few transactions a year, that's cool. You can fly below the radar. But once you start working with high level executives, athletes, men and women of consequence, you have to. There's something else you got to bring to the table, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me about your experience as a Black man in America. And here we don't use our pigment, we don't use our past, we don't use anything as an excuse of why we can't achieve. And you've obviously not made it one for you either.
Right.
But tell me about your experience as being Black and moving and shaking in these spaces.
One of the first things that comes to mind when you ask me that is being young, being Black, and working with all different types of races. I think that, you identify what matters the most per race. Yeah, right? I was trying to find a word I couldn't find it. Per race. And so I noticed that with, I'm from Spring. I grew up in Spring, which is a, Houston suburb north of Houston. And I grew up with mostly white people, and so I noticed that over the years that as I start to travel and, just be a part of different conversations with white people is that where you go to school matters. Where you're from matters. Traveling, like speaking in certain conversations really pinpoints and opens their eyes to your exposure.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think that nowadays happens with a lot of people, but specifically, like, I don't know how many times I've been asked, where are you from and what school did you go to? As a prerequisite to how much I'm gonna talk to you.
Wow.
I would assume.
I'm from Hartford, Connecticut, and I went to Harvard.
Yeah, you know what I mean? When you, that's why I travel too, because not because of that reason, but because my experiences have allowed me to have longer conversations with people where it's happened naturally. Like, right. I've been to Croatia, right? I didn't even know where Croatia was.
I like to think that I'm a geography guy, but
yeah, you know what I mean?
Is that like somewhere near Spain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so
close.
It's in Europe. And it's an island, and we went to Yacht Week, me and my friends. And I think, having that conversation with people, this is an event that's every year. It's been happening for years. But where I'm from, we don't talk about that. My family, we don't know nothing about that.
Wow, man. God is good. God is good.
Right, right. Yeah. So to have a conversation with somebody who talks about Europe and you say, yeah, you know, I had the opportunity to go to Croatia. Like seeing the reactions of certain things, you know, now qualifies you to have a deeper conversation with somebody. I mean, even on the plane, restaurant, wherever it is, it just happens that way, you know?
Erwin, so you're dropping nuggets right now, man.
All right. I don't know. I'm just talking.
Right. No, you're dropping nuggets right now. And what I'm saying is it's one thing to look someone in the eyes and say, oh, yeah, I went to Yacht Week and, you know, just kind of keep it moving. Right. And what I hear you saying in all of that is what makes you different, right? And not removing yourself from the culture and saying I'm set apart. Yeah. Just what makes you unique? Yeah. Tell me about you as an individual. And I've always said that our diversity is our strength.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sun Tzu even says in The Art of War, if you know not yourself or your enemy, you'll succumb in every battle. And if you spend time, man, in human experiences, like you said, it's a natural thing.
Yeah.
Naturally, if you get to know this guy and you get to know that guy, and you get to know this person, like oil and gas is kind of what taught me that.
Yep.
First time, you know, international business. I'm talking with guys from Argentina. I'm talking guys from Mumbai. I'm talking Nigerian guys, Russian. I mean, literally, right? To the point to where if I go somewhere and someone has like a really thick, heavy accent, I'm like, oh yeah, he's Russian. Oh, that's Chile. You know what I mean? Right. Oh, you know, he's from Canada. But he speaks French.
Right.
So that's beautiful, man. And I think even just high level, it sounds like you've done what it takes. You know what I mean? Like you ever been punched in the face before?
Yeah, at least one time. Yeah.
Was it that bad?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I try to tell people all the time. You know, people are so afraid of doing anything.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you have this opportunity. There it is. You might not have it again. It's like a sharpshooter, right? You know, you aim, and eventually that person's out of target. That person's out of sight. And you'll never see that person again or have that opportunity again. So it's been really cool to see how you've seized those opportunities, man. Carpe diem. So look, man, it's summer 2021. Like, diagnose the real estate market for me, man. Like, what's going on right now?
It's nuts. It's nuts. You know, I think if you've had the opportunity to participate in this market, whether you're a seller or a buyer's agent, you're having some fun right now. You know what I mean? Sellers are seeing
all time. Fun.
Huh?
Define fun.
Well, I mean, let's just say, like, you know, it's very different from when both of us first got into real estate, and, you know, deals are kind of like as they happen. Now you're happy, you know, you can get a client and easily sell property. And if you get a listing agent, I mean, if you become a listing agent and you get a property you can list, you know, you have some confidence that you might have your first deal within a day or a couple of days, you know, depending on the price point. You know what I mean? And I think for a new agent, that's very, you know, they give you a lot of confidence.
It does.
You know what I mean?
It's like Reggie Bush winning the Super Bowl in his first year in the league.
Exactly.
First listing.
Right.
Oh, I got 16 offers the first day.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, I would imagine people don't know if it's them or if it's just the market. Right.
Okay.
And I think there's an identifier within that in which, you know, it's a very interesting time right now with the government giving away so much money and people having interest rates are low. You know, understanding what's happening in market trends is very important right now. And for anybody in the industry who's selling and, you know, transitioning, you know, this is also an opportunity to take advantage as well. You know, if you can sell at a price point higher than you probably could 6 months ago.
Is it time? Are you saying that?
It's definitely time.
Let me call my wife.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely time, because now you got the comps to justify it, right?
Oh, man, that's so scary, man.
Yeah,
it's so scary having to, you know, basically say you have a property that you got at a certain price point. Right. And you pay that down.
Right.
Now, even if you sell this property, which people hold on to your real estate, right? Keep making it a part of your portfolio, right? And find some other ways of putting a nice sizable down payment for your next property. It's like you go from having such a small mortgage to now, if you're building a house right now.
Well, yeah.
Right. Now your mortgage is right. But you're a baller, so that's not going to be a problem.
No,
right?
I'm very, trust me, I'm very strategic on how I do stuff,
Yeah.
right? You know, I start with the end in mind on every acquisition. So, you know, I'm not in a bad position. And even when I build now too, so I understand what my construction costs are going to be.
Okay.
So I'm coming into it with equity.
Do you disclose that?
What do you mean?
So, is your property with a builder, or are you doing it yourself?
Yeah, this is gonna be my property. I'm doing it myself.
Okay, so you're going to develop your own property.
Yes,
you're gonna build your own property.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So where I was going with that was, say you went with, even if it's a boutique builder, someone who is established. I'm like, are you kicking in the door? I'm Mr. Real Estate.
No, never.
And I want a house, and it's got to look like this.
No.
Or are you saying, hey, I'm just a guy, and this is kind of what I'm looking for? You know?
Yeah.
Do you disclose?
Not all the time. Honestly, I don't necessarily do that until it's time. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to throw myself off the negotiation. You know what I mean? If I'm trying to work a deal and he's trying to make his profit, you can't do that with me, bro. Because I know what the margins are. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Exactly.
So I'm
I know you're gonna make 80% on this, so you're not gonna do it.
Right.
Okay. So tell me about a time where you were maybe trying to kind of wheel and deal, and you got screwed in a deal, or maybe a deal that went sour, or something that maybe you thought was going to turn out one way, and it was something the complete opposite. And you don't have to use names.
No. I remember doing a $1 million deal where this builder that I know, he had never had a house come undervalued for the price that he was asking. And I remember telling him in the beginning, you should probably get an appraisal, just so you understand where the market's at if you don't believe me. But, this is a guy with 20 plus years of experience. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. You know what I mean? But it just made sense to protect your investment before you overbuild this property that you may not get the value you think you're asking for. So I remember specifically when we got the appraisal done, I actually paid for it. I was I'm gonna pay for it just so you know what you're gonna be dealing with. So I had done so much business, because that's kind of how one of the things I tell people is that, depending on the type of property, if it's a newer construction and it's overbuilt a little bit, I always try to get an appraisal. You know what I mean? Just because I want to know where I'm at and, if I'm wasting my time or not. That's very important. So with him,
nuggets are being dropped. I know this may go over some people's heads, but my goodness gracious, nuggets are being dropped. My bad, man. Go ahead.
And some people say, an appraisal's not worth the paper it's on, right? But for me, it's a basis. It's a basis. At least we in the same ballpark, or we not. You know what I mean? So, and you can read the comps that come on the appraisal too. So you can always get a second opinion and things like that. So we had a basis, right? And he built this. The ceilings were 25 feet in this house. House is crazy. Yeah. And he did a floor to ceiling fireplace in marble. So he thought that the value he should get for the marble fireplace was going to increase the value of the home tremendously.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want a huge fireplace in Houston. Yeah.
Exactly. But what he didn't realize is that he was the only house in that neighborhood that had marble fireplaces. So
no comps. Wow. So a comp is a comparison house, right? Yeah. So anytime you're trying to establish the price of a home, you have to also compare that home to homes that are within, a few miles radius.
Within the subdivision, zip code, etc.
To establish a fair price. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's insane, man.
Yeah. And so it justified my point, and it's, it was
How'd you get screwed though?
I got screwed because he didn't want to do the deal anymore.
Oh.
When I found the buyer as well. So I was listing the property and I found a buyer. And so you know.
So in that, tell me a couple of things, because when you're in college, right, a lot of people come out of college and they have consulting jobs. They have sales jobs. They have a job that they're in a place to provide some sort of, I'm not going to even put air quotes around expert opinion, because if you spend enough time doing something very, very specific, let's say real estate, if I've spent the last 3 years and from sun up to sundown, all I've done is analyze deals, looked at projects, selected teams, architects, engineers, spent time with building relationships with those people, understood all of the technicalities and the ins and outs. If I can do that, and, we talk about our 10,000 hours, if I can do that and become the expert in that, it puts me in a position, even someone older than me, to be the expert in that conversation and consult with them.
Absolutely.
So how did you poke him in the eye? Like, how did that conversation go? Was it well received?
No, it wasn't, because it never was, from even when I suggested it, because, it all comes down to, character and, where you are with integrity and who you are as a person, how you receive information.
Okay.
This is a guy that, will listen, he'll hear you. That don't mean he listening, right? And so, me telling him the suggestion of getting an appraisal and him not wanting to spend the money on it, told me right then I already knew what to expect.
How much is an appraisal?
I mean, this particular appraisal was like $1,000.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Based on the house size. So, it didn't cost that much, but it was worth the investment and the house wasn't done being built. That was the other thing too. So we're halfway through the construction. I'm like, you should probably get an appraisal just so you know where you at before you go and do all the stuff. But, I don't think he had everything picked out. It was just a matter of executing the build.
Okay. So there's this moment before you punch someone in the face, right? Before you poke someone in the eyes, like if you're trying to sneak them.
Right.
Right.
For it, yeah.
So tell me about those thoughts, man. Like right before you had that conversation, what was going through your mind? Like, am I going to kill the deal? Like if I even bring this up, like, did you think it was going to put you in a better place to take that risk and become the consultant?
No, I didn't look at it from a perspective of being in a better position. But what I did know is that if I'm right, he would respect me more even if he didn't say anything, right? I don't need you to acknowledge me, but just understand that I know what I'm talking about. I am an expert in what I do, so you should have a new level of respect, because nobody's ever challenged you about your property values. Then I don't expect you to agree with me anyway.
Okay.
But you'll respect me though.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Was the property listed? Did the appraisal come back? How did the appraisal come back?
Oh yeah, so I can say the numbers.
And it just, you said you could say the numbers.
Yeah, I'll say the numbers.
Okay.
He wanted 3.5 million. The appraisal came back at, we had 3 and 2.8.
And is there any sort of rule that says they're going to go with the higher or lower? Did they go with the higher 3.5 or the 2.8? How does it work? How do they determine that?
Well, his number was never even considered, because that's what his asking price was.
Oh, it's 3.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The numbers 3 and 2.8.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 and 2.8 were the actual appraisal numbers. So, you could do an average of those, depending on that loan size or whatever the house value is. You can always get a second opinion. Each appraiser is going to have their own opinion about it anyway. But
okay, so for the how you hear people say, I want to be in real estate, right? And there's just so many different sides of real estate. And what we're talking about right now is the nuance that, hey, look, if the property is listed at 3.5 and you're under contract, as in saying, hey, I'm a buyer and I want to buy your house, I'll buy it for 3.5. But then it appraises at $3 million. Then what happens? What does the buyer have to do? Like, what recourse do they have?
It depends on their income. I mean, honestly, if they have it, and if the seller wants 3.5 and he doesn't want to renegotiate price, you got to bring that $500,000.
Right. So you got to bring $500,000 cash. Right. Cold hard cash money.
But more than likely, like in normal situations, you just readjust the price, because most cases, why would somebody bring something cash overvalued? That's just not smart. I mean, I don't think we're in a competitive market to the point to where, well, maybe now, but maybe, at that time, we wasn't in a competitive market like we are now, where F it, I throw it down just to get the deal, but it wasn't worth it.
Okay. And man, thank you for sharing that experience. You said, so I'm disappointed in you, man. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And hopefully you can explain your way out of this. Okay. You said something, man, earlier. You said, man, I don't know if I want to be in real estate forever. Or, matter of fact, you said it so definitively. I don't want to be in real estate for forever. And for a lot of people, man, like, you hear real estate again, it can mean so many different things. Bro, what does that mean? What does that mean?
For me, what I mean by that is that I don't want to be, running all over town selling property. I've been doing it for so long that for me, it's about building value and investing more into myself and my future family, and, just things I want to do, and enjoying a certain lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's, I'll always be able to do a deal, keep my license active, but I think just the hustle and bustle, I've gotten into other...
hustle and bustle. Huh?
Yeah.
It's actually part of the intro. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think too, I'm interested in other industries as well. So, reinventing myself is a part of the process of finding other things that interest me, diversifying. I follow what I call the leaders, or what I feel like people are doing in the industry, as far as
who are those?
Not industry, but entrepreneurs.
Okay.
I follow things like Jay-Z is doing, and I like a lot of tech guys that are tech founders that are advancing technology in different industries. It's really exciting. For me in the tech space, investing in that. Because that's the future. And with everything that's happening right now, such as even Airbnb being a tech company, and what they've done on the IPO, which we had the opportunity to invest in, kind of just showed me, like, there's another world to things that you can do, but on the tech side, in every industry. And so I feel like if you're not paying attention at least and participating or figuring out how to participate, you're going to be left behind.
Oh, that's tough, man. That's tough. And, we often talk about sense of urgency. Right. And, bro, you were 20 years old and you were like, oh, I'm behind. I need to go. I need to get it. I need to prove myself. I need to, and we kind of talked about the goal that you had in mind. And we talked about sort of how you were inspired, but what's been the motivation, besides you being a Virgo? What's been a motivation, man, to consistently have such a high quality of product, high quality customer service? Like, what's been the motivation, and what do you believe sets you and your firm apart? And how did you establish that?
I think for me, my business and who I am as a person should be synonymous, right? I don't have to walk out the house and be somebody else, right? That's a job to me. And for me, it's like, if I can be the best person, if I can be Erwin Nicholas, who happens to be the second, who happens to have a real estate company, and, when you talk to him, you can stand on what he says. To me, that kind of goes with any and everything that I may partake in business-wise. And so I when we talk about quality and level of service, that's just part of who I am in my character. You know what I mean? So I don't ever feel like I'm having to put on. I like that. I like the fact that I don't walk out the house. And I was telling you earlier, like, I haven't worn a suit in a while, right? I don't feel like I have to go play the part, you know? And that's just me personally. I don't want to go play the part every day, because when I'm not on point, you gonna look at me differently. You know what I mean? Like if you see me at Kroger's or Whole Foods and I don't have a suit on, are you gonna think differently of me? So I don't like that balancing act of being two different people.
That's good, man.
You know, I just really like being transparent in who I am, and like, you know, whatever quality you view me as with that, I can't control that. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. I've learned to live with that along the way, along my journey. Is like,
bro, what you're saying is so powerful, so impactful. Was there something that taught you that hey, I am the expert, and I'm going to take the Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg approach, that I'm just going to be who I am and accept it because you already know what time it is. Like, was there a day that clicked for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, observation. I used to look at the high net worth people and be like, at what point do you qualify to just do what you want to do? You know what I mean?
Got that Mark Cuban money, huh?
Yeah. Is it the money? Is it? I don't even think it's the money. I think it's just you choosing, literally being like, today, this is what you're getting. And if you don't like it or don't feel like I'm credible, then I probably don't even need to work with you anyway. Because you always got me on some type of pedestal that I'm human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't afford to keep trying to live to your standard to make other people happy.
Yeah, man.
I just can't. And that's just something that I think one day I just, over time, just started watching people and like, man, why am I trying to fit this mold? You know, what's the point of me doing this? I think even like one of my greatest years in real estate, just selling wise.
Smashed.
I got these, I did really well, right? And I said, next year I got to do it all over again.
Well, I mean, okay, so think about that, right? And you play basketball, right?
Right.
I play football, and I'm sure at some point you ran gassers.
Yep.
Have you ever been in practice and you had that feeling like, oh God, you running gassers and you're like, bro, I don't know if I can come back tomorrow and do this.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? That's how it is as a professional.
Yeah.
Every single year, you're constantly pushing the bar. You're constantly trying to do better than you did last year.
Right.
What's enough? What's enough?
I say this every interview. I read a book called Ego the Enemy by Ryan Holiday.
Ego to an enemy.
Ego is the enemy.
Oh, ego is the enemy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ego is the enemy. And he talks about this. He talks about being stoic, right? Just having a stoic personality and just integrity and just understanding that there are multimillionaires that you do not know about.
That's very true.
Gazillionaires that you don't hear a word about. So why are you sitting here? This is what I got from it in the short term. Why are you trying to prove yourself every year or every week or every day to people that you don't even compete with? Like, that don't make sense to me. Like, and then you got, I can go further, but like it's you got Instagram and things that justify. People feel like they have to validate, and then you sit and you just like, man, like, do I really want to do all this for an approval? What am I doing this for? Am I doing this for y'all or am I doing this for me?
My goodness gracious. Yo, so
I need some more. I need some more.
Go ahead, man. Pour up.
More apple juice.
Go ahead, pour up. Apple juice. So we often talk about this, that it's only pretentious if you're pretending.
Yep.
Right? If something is not natural for you, if something is uncomfortable for you, it's only pretentious if you're pretending. And another nugget, man, I would argue this is a bomb. And I just mentioned this in our previous episode, man, is that you have to do the work.
Yep.
There's one thing to not have any experience you took the elevator.
Yep.
Right. When the stairs were accessible, but you had an opportunity to take the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't been embarrassed.
Yeah.
You haven't put in your 10,000 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes the opportunity. Right. And it's like, well, you're not even prepared for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the time where you get embarrassed, where you get kicked in the nuts, where you get shown up. And there's so much of a prerequisite. There's so many things that you were supposed to do ahead of that time in order to be
ready.
In order to be ready for this. Mm-hmm. So what I'm telling you, and I'm glad you mentioned it, man, is that there's no suit. There are no pair of shoes. No. There's not even a beautiful Essence camel fedora that can get you prepared to be probably the professional that you want to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And my God, don't get me wrong, bro. Like, I think we've all been guilty of it at some point, but Instagram is tough. Social media in itself is tough. Powerful. Because it does not tell the whole story.
Nope.
Right. So it goes, oh man, look at that. Look at Erwin. He's on the sideline at the final. What? Look at that. Look at Erwin. Look at that building. Oh my goodness gracious. Right. Yeah. And behind the scenes, you having to have these conversations with these people who are 2-3 times your age, that has been in the industry longer than you, mm-hmm. but you understand some sort of nuance. You have some sort of credibility that says, hey, look, if you don't go get that house appraised and you try to set the price point of the entire area,
yeah,
you may or may not lose out on $500,000 or more.
Exactly.
Right. So I can't tell you how important that is, man. And that was an excellent point. And then, also having the emotional intelligence to know how to talk to people, that is a huge thing, right? Definitely. We have this thing there's this modern proliferation of take me as I am. I'm a man. I'm just going to talk to you a certain kind of way. Bruh. That does not work in the business world, right? It does not work. You have to learn how to talk to people, and that's kind of done while you're traveling, mm-hmm. while you're taking on these different experiences, while you're taking on these different opportunities. So, man, you have this quote, and that I saw that you favorited, and it's, "My works are not my own, but interpretations of the source." What's the source?
God, man.
Okay. And what has been the role that he's played in your life? And has he ever got you out of a sticky situation?
Oh, yeah. Plenty. I think for me, having a spiritual background, having a Baptist background, raised in church, I think that, understanding what faith is and leaning not into your own understanding is something that I've really learned to do and hone in on, because I had $1 million dreams of selling $1 million homes, but I wasn't doing it that day or that year or that couple years or whatever it was. But I always believed that I would be, you know what I mean? So having God as your backbone is something that, along with just believing in manifestation of kind of, your ideas mm-hmm. coming from him is just, I don't think I sit and create this stuff by myself. You know what I mean? I don't, to even build out a career and not having business school and things like that and just figuring out along the way and then seeing the separation along the way, is not by me. You know what I mean? I think I'm just an example of somebody that can at the end of the day say, hey, this is the reason why these things are happening. And it's important for you to know along with the work. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So
bro, when I tell you that's powerful, because a lot of people think that even having a genuine relationship with God, mm-hmm. right, or with Christ, mm-hmm. or with whomever you deem as a higher power,
right.
A lot of people think that comes with a life void of getting slapped in the face.
Yeah.
Right. And it's only really truly when you get slapped in the face that you kind of know who you are. Yeah. Right. And then the different path that you could potentially take. Okay. So, man, The Alchemist. You like that book?
Yeah.
Why?
I think the story alone just requires you to think about your own life. And I think from any book that you read, for me, that's always been the reflection. Not to think that these people are any different or this story is any different than you. You have to see yourself in what you're reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
think
good,
that's a great, like the author does a great job of like vividly giving an experience, you know what I mean? That that's just how my mind works. Like I'm listening to you. If I'm listening to you talk about what you've been through, I'm relating it to myself immediately.
Mm.
And I think that's what that book does more than anything. It's a reflection of where you're going and how to get there and then how to actually apply it.
And that's a unique skill, man. And I listen to you, man. You talk about your experiences from mom saying, hey, you should get into real estate, right? To, maybe getting slapped around a little bit by some people who are older than you, learning from all of your mistakes, and then taking that motivation to execute with excellence. You really think about it, bro. It's really the journey. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I said, hey, how much is enough? When can you say, oh, I've made it? Yeah. Like for you, answer this question the best way you can. When can you say, I've arrived? Can you ever say that? Like, there's always going to be someone bigger, better. There's always going to be someone who's trying to get, to your level. At what point can you say, man, I'm good with this. And if I stay at doing this activity in my career, I will be fine with that until I retire.
I find that to be a difficult question. And the reason why is because you can only speak on the experiences that you've been able to have, right? I have some, high net worth friends with way more money than me. And you could ask him the same question. The way they spend $100 and the way I spend $100 is two different things. It's two different things. So when you
Shout
ask
out to
that,
Dallas Jones.
When you ask that question, you really have to understand at what perspective that even, you don't know what that feels like. Mm-hmm. If I told you today, if I could just make $5 million a year for the rest of my life, would I be okay with that? If you take the years that I've built and the mindset that I've built to constantly advance, when I get to $5 million a year, I can't say that I'm gonna stop. I don't even think that the $5 million is significant, even at $5 million. The reason why I feel like that is because it's not so much the money. It's literally the journey, like you said. Why would I stop there is if I've got so much more to offer? You know what I mean?
That's tough, man. That's tough. Oh my gosh. And so what you just said, bro, is when I got so much to offer. One thing that I always tell anyone that I'm mentoring, man, anyone that I'm talking to, it's about the value. Mm-hmm. Price is only an issue in the absence of value.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many people that chase a check, that chase the bag, that say, let's go get this money. Bro, it's not about the money.
It's not about the money at all.
Right? And if you think it's about the money, look at some of the most successful people in the world. Right? Right now, it's about the influence. How can I influence change? Right. Jeff Bezos, how can I make it easier for people to get products on their doorstep in 10 minutes? Exactly. Right? Like they got Amazon Prime Now, Amazon, hey, right around the corner. Right. After a while, they're going to have Amazon will put the food in your mouth with a spoon, right? So what I'm saying is chase the value. Find out how you can add value to people's lives. Yeah. How can you add value to any specific industry and use that sort of to differentiate yourself? So a couple more things here, man. Wet the beak here, right? Just give us a little snippet. At some point, you recognized, man, this is my technique. This is how. And you can use maybe your earlier days. Right. This is how I learned how to close. This is how I learned how to demonstrate my value and show people, why they hired me to represent them in, some sort of fiduciary capacity.
I would say the biggest thing would be I'm not going to say experience because everybody says that, but I feel like doing one thing uniquely great with every single person that I'm encountering.
Okay.
Right? So an example might be, a client comes to me and they say, I ain't find the house I was looking for. I done looked all on HAR, MLS. I couldn't find it.
Mm-hmm.
First house I show them. I ain't see this one. I ain't see this one.
Yeah.
Or showing them something that maybe they didn't think about at that time. You know what I mean? Because you gotta be able to identify a person and who you're dealing with. Some people are just never satisfied and they're in their own head about it. So one thing, for example, I did was in the beginning, I used to show like 20 houses. Yeah, I'm just saying. In the beginning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, cool. Let's go look. Pick your top 5 now.
There you go.
Pick your top 5. That's what we're going to look at.
There you go. Okay.
If you can't see, you're going to forget after 3 anyway. Because the first 3, I'm trying to knock it out of the park. If we get to 2, I'm like, okay, like you didn't really, I just want to see it. And then usually be the first house. But when you understand how the mind works, you understand that people don't always know what they want. So you have to guide them. So that has become a skill set within, I think, for me, that's really just set me apart is just understanding people first. Like, who am I dealing with?
Okay, that's good, man. And it's always important to sort of diagnose. And that's what the DISC assessment that I was telling you about, drivers, influencers, safe and calculated. Yeah. How do you diagnose people? Like, what do you do? Are you like a body language guy, like tone guy? I mean, what are you looking for?
Yeah, I just listen, honestly. Like, people tell you what you want, what they want. You know what I mean? You just got to pay attention and ask certain
What about
questions.
smoke screens though? You know, some people say, yeah, I want this, but that's not the price. That's not the price point that they can afford, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever wasted your time doing that kind of thing?
Oh yeah. I mean, early on for sure, you know, I just usually ask the right questions in the beginning so that I know I'm not wasting my time, because you also have to look at yourself as a very valuable person, and your time is not just money, it's just everything, right?
Right.
How much time am I going to spend when you don't know what you want?
And then, and what's wild is, if you're not a consultant, if you're not comfortable telling people they're wrong, or if you're not comfortable telling people that they aren't focused on the process, or they're not following the process that they should be following, if you're uncomfortable with setting ground rules up front, right? This is any profession. If you're not comfortable with those things, then the customer is going to be disappointed. Right. And they're going to blame you.
Yeah.
Right.
Every time.
Even if they made it difficult, they're going to be like, hey, you were supposed to consult me through this process. You were supposed to call me out. You were supposed to hold me accountable. But in doing so, when you do all those things, sometimes it can really piss them off. Right. So it's good that you have sort of built that emotional intelligence over time to kind of know what people are saying when they say it. Yeah. So almost the last thing here, bro, like, what is an accredited luxury home specialist? What is that?
That was a class I took that sounded good whenever I first got it in the business. You know, I wanted to see what they can, I guess, you know, what was considered the standard
for a luxury home.
home.
What is it? What's the standard?
To me, it's what you make it, honestly. I took what they thought the framework was, and then I put my own twist to it.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to compare. Like, I wanted to understand, like, this is what y'all look at to determine whether or not you can sell a luxury home. Interesting. I'm not doing that.
Oh, wow.
Again, I go back to always being myself. If I can't partake and be myself, it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Like, why would I fit this framework in which, in order to sell at this price point, I have to do all of these things? Well, what if 90% of those things I don't like to do? Then what?
Bro, you're speaking like a real entrepreneur right now. You're speaking like a real entrepreneur right now, man. you know?
Yeah.
Because, well, I suspect that even as an entrepreneur, there's got to be some stuff that you do that you don't necessarily want to.
Yeah, no, all the time.
Right?
I mean,
give me some insight on that as a real estate professional, like some things that are like, all right, I got to do this. I got to say it up.
Yeah, I mean, let's use this one. Being around clients and going out and being invited places that after a while, it's always a good time, but do you want to do it all the time?
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
No.
Getting old, man.
No. Getting older, more things are, more important to me, like family. But I can't help it that I might meet 2 or 3 clients every time I step out the house.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens that way for me. Not every day, but all the time. I mean, it's just, you never know. I've got some of my biggest clients just from, hey, oh yeah, you do real estate? My boy right here, and I don't do no marketing like that outside of Instagram, and that ain't really marketing to me because it's not something I do consistently. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I evaluate what I've been doing and the brand that I built over years, is it now working? Is what I ask myself. To where if I go outside and I happen to meet 2 or 3 people, that means that the work that I put in over the years is working. So why wouldn't I go outside? Why wouldn't I go meet up with a client who happens to know 3 other people, 4 other people, or even his business manager who has over 100 clients? Why wouldn't I? If I don't do no other marketing, why wouldn't I do that?
So this is your 5 a.m. alarm, and what I mean by that is anyone who works out, they'll roll over, look at their alarm clock, be it 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, whenever you work out, and look at it and say, man, I really don't want to get up. I really don't want to go and do that right now, but I know what this means and I know what an opportunity this is, so I got to go execute.
Yeah, everybody won't understand that too either. You know what I mean? It's just even my mom told me, she's like, you always somewhere. There's a reason for that, And I like being amongst the people. I'm not gonna lie. Like people who say like, you can't sit here and blame your business all the time. You're right, you can't. But if I've got my own place and I live by myself,
oh man, yeah.
See, it gets tricky when it comes to how you want to live your life and the type of lifestyle you want to have.
That's true,
I really do. My mom is a social butterfly. Like I said, I watched her always be around people, and so if I find myself just chilling and not doing nothing, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something.
You got FOMO?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I can miss out. Don't get me wrong. I can miss out. I just, if I'm not being productive.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's where it becomes, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, I could be on vacation and I might not be there that long because I want to come back and do something.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's pause right there, man, because I heard you say a couple things, man. And number one, so FOMO, for those who don't know, is fear of missing out. And we're talking about a guy who in his freshman year was obviously a student and then took additional real estate courses in order to obtain his license. And that's also comes when you talk about being a professional, especially in the real estate space. Mm-hmm. It's a part of your job to party. It's a part of your job to be out there. It's a part of your job to be visible because that's how people access you. That's how people know what you do. That's how, and if you're introverted, or if you're one of those type of people who have a hard time being around other people, like listen to what Mr. Real Estate is saying in this regard, because I think one thing that I did, and your pocket square's hanging out a little bit, man. Oh, one thing that I did along my career is I went and tried and did all of the things that I thought I wanted to do, all of the things that I thought I wanted to be a part of. Mm-hmm. And you talk about being extroverted. I love what I do now as a consultant and the company that I work with. And the idea is I'm building relationships with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's very, very directly related to real estate.
Yeah.
And, I still have my entrepreneurial endeavors and all these different things that I do and my hobbies and my interests. But I had to go and story of Cinderella. Was it Cinderella who kissed the frogs? Somebody kissed the frogs, all right? One of the princesses kissed the frogs. I'm not calling myself a princess, but what I'm saying is you're going to have to kiss some frogs before you find out what your alley is, man.
Yeah.
And what's so different about your story is while you did spend some time as a pharmacy tech, you saw at a very young age, it's going to be real estate. It's the real estate for me.
Yeah, it's the real estate.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you saw at a very young age, man. So, I mean, like, bro, like, what's one thing that you could tell 21-year-old Erwin?
Invest your money sooner, as fast as you can. Understand money management as early as possible.
What does that mean? Does that mean buy bottles?
No, that's what I did. Don't do what I did.
I mean, hey, it's your birthday, man. Turn up. You celebrate, you graduated. But, bro, every weekend.
Man, I was sheltered, right? So being amongst the people, partying, doing things like that was something that I felt like I missed out on.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So, hearing the stories about what guys did on the team and I was feeling a void that I felt like I needed to. And I also didn't understand money management, which was, you getting these commission checks, however big they may be, put 60% to the side. You know what I mean?
60%?
Yeah. If you can train yourself to do it, you can do it, right? But that's not something that I learned how to do because, I mean, truth be told, I pretty much got paid to go to school with the scholarship overages, right? So, every semester I'm getting a check from the school and I'm working, right?
Oh, okay.
So I'm like spending money. I'm just spending money, right? I'm not learning money management, right? I never had real responsibilities, housing paid for, and things like that. So I had to learn these things later on in life that, even now where I'm like, I'm investing more of my money than I am spending it like I was, which was a huge lesson, right? It's huge because, I mean, unbelief, that's just not something that I learned, you know what I mean? I had to go back and evaluate, why do I like spending money this way?
Oh, why? Why did you figure out?
Well, because I knew I was going to make it or I have it.
Oh,
you see X amount of dollars in the bank.
Right? Yeah. Is that what you said?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I definitely had what, a hustler's mentality. It was like, I'm going to go out and get it. If I see X amount in the account, I got it. Cool. And a lot of people, to help that want to get in real estate, they want to quit their job, right? And jump in. And we all can contest to this. Is like, listen.
Don't you quit that day job.
Keep it. And I was in school, so I was part-time real estate, if you think about it, to why it ended up working out for me. Because by the time that 4-year window, by the time I graduated, I still had to go teach, right? But after that, it was like sink or swim. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was young enough to do that and learn the mistakes to build the momentum while the market was building back up. So the timing ended up working in my favor. And when people say do that now, it's kind of like, first of all, you got to build your clientele. Don't nobody know you out here, bro. Like, nobody. They might know you, but they don't want to do real estate with you.
Nope. Yep, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That can be true, yeah.
It's just, I've had family members go use other real estate agents, right? That don't mean you just gonna get a deal like that because you know people. Right. So
which all real estate professionals take personally.
Yeah, they do. Right. And I learned like, there may be reasons for that. And you gotta identify that reason. It doesn't hurt you to go ask somebody like, hey, how did I do? Or, is there a reason why you don't want to use me? Just, you need this information to be able to ask, but you gotta be bold enough to ask.
Bro, again, punch in the face. All right. I am I grew up a football player, right? After graduating college, I practiced traditional Taekwondo.
Right.
I've been punched in the face long before that.
Right.
But multiple times, right? But so my chief instructor, we were doing like a little exercise, and it was a defense exercise. And he said, okay, he didn't say, are you ready? He said, are you ready? And then he punched me in the face, right? And when I tell you the form that he used made my face hurt so bad. And I think that's just the thing, man, fear.
Yeah.
Right. People are so afraid. And we talked about this before of getting punched in the face. And the value behind getting punched in the face, man, is the upside is so much better than the pain that you experience when you get punched in the face. Or, obviously this is a simile for if you fail.
Right.
So I think that's a beautiful thing, man. And it's been so dope. Like, man, just hearing your story, man, everything that you've been through.
I appreciate it.
And, just in summary, what you wanted to tell your younger self is invest your money wisely. Is there anything that people can put their money in right now? Is there any sort of opportunities that you kind of see in the market right now for people to really influence some change for their future?
Yeah, I mean, in real estate, I definitely think that buying low in this market is challenging right now. You know what I mean?
To say the least. Yeah.
So, yeah, to say the least. But I would say the immediate thing to do is to definitely stack your money and have what they call gunpowder to be able to buy when the market changes at whatever point that may be, because it's not going to stay high like this forever. And if we can start to train our mind to be ahead of the game, right? One thing I learned very early on was when I say investing my money is that you've got to understand timetables and cycles, right? Every 10 to 12 years, there's a change at any given point in time. So if you don't know when these times, or even conscious of like, at some point things are going to change, you won't be ready, right? Because you could miss even right now this window. Like for me, I bought my house 5 years ago, didn't want to sell it. But I'm looking at the timetable, right? I'm like, okay, this market is very high. I got an appraisal in February. My neighbor just closed, $30,000 over asking. You got to make some decisions.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Tough, man. It's tough.
But you got to be conscious of when will this happen again?
Right.
And if it ever will.
Yeah.
So, being emotionally tied to stuff, achieving home ownership, to be good in real estate and is to understand it and appreciate it and respect it for what it does. You're not in control of the cycles.
Yeah.
So you can only appreciate what it gives you. And the people they say the rich get richer. This is why they understand how these things work, when to buy. Buy low, sell high.
Sheesh. And it seems like such a simple concept.
It is.
Right. And
it seems like it.
It seems like such a simple concept, man. But there's so many nuances. There are so many things along the way. And
don't sell your house, by the way. Just understand that it's a plan in the process. You need to have a place to go.
Right.
Which is the problem right now. Like people don't really have a place to go that actually do want to sell.
That's tough. Sell your house. Let Mr. Real Estate sell your house and go get an apartment for a year. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I can't promise you where you're going to stay.
Man, well, look, man. Erwin Nicholas II, man, Mr. Real Estate, it's been such a pleasure, man, having you on the show. I just want to give a toast, man, to your continued success, man. And thank you so much for coming on the Introspektiv Podcast and telling your story, brother. For real, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, I'm Andre Khan Jr. with the Introspektiv Podcast, presented by Southern Gents. Aspire to inspire.